It's so personal the way he goes about it. It's now his personal offence he's taken that Vladimir Putin has not backed down. His outrage at what Medvedev said. He's a former president. So he's taking insult, if you like, from these words rather than strategy.
But I start the show with 1 hour on 7 days, and with me are Bronwen Maddox, Director and Chief Executive of Chatham House, and she is alongside the Times' brilliant Matthew Parris, a former Conservative MP, of course. Welcome to both of you, and thank goodness you're here, Bronwen, because there can only be one place to start, given that we've all woken up to the possibility that there might be soon a surfeit of carbon-14 and strontium-90 in the atmosphere. Donald Trump announced yesterday that the US was moving 2 nuclear subs into, quote, strategic positions, i.e. close to Russia. This seems to have been prompted by his disappointment that Vladimir Putin continues to wage war in Ukraine and shows no signs of capitulating, as Mr. Trump had presumably expected, although the stated reason was supposedly provocative comments from the former Russian Premier and Putin pitbull, Dmitry Medvedev. I thought I said that quite well. This may be a rhetorical escalation rather than anything more worrying, I'm hoping, although Trump said words are very important and can often lead to unintended consequences. I hope this will not be one of those instances. Well, me too, Donald, me too. Bronwen, are we wrong to be worried about this? Is it just performative?
It's somewhere in between. We're certainly right to be worried. I can't offer any comfort at all on that one. We had a month ago or so Donald Trump saying about Iran, I might do it, go to war, I might not. Now he's saying, we might, or Putin might go to war, so even less under his control. He adds his characteristic uncertainty into even the prospect of nuclear war. But I don't think at this point any country seriously wants a nuclear war. What you've got is perhaps the inevitable squaring off between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, as Putin does not budge and Donald Trump has to calculate what to do.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter, does it, Matthew, what Dmitry Medvedev, I didn't say it as well that time, actually says. He is, an online presence and not really to be taken seriously, is he?
I think it does matter. Nuclear subs, that doesn't matter. I mean, we British have nuclear subs too, and we don't say where they are. That's the whole point of nuclear subs, not saying where they are. And I agree with Bronwen that nobody wants a nuclear war at the moment. But what we are seeing, I think, is a decline in trust and admiration between the Trump administration and the Putin administration, and Medvedev is just an example of that. And what is worrying is and again I return to what Bronwen said, it's the erraticness of it all. Foreign policy is best pursued with a kind of steady underlying sense of direction and purpose. And just skidding about all over the place like this is profoundly unnerving.
And it is so the way that Donald Trump goes about this. It's so personal the way he goes about it. It's now his personal offence he's taken that Vladimir Putin has not backed down. His outrage at what Medvedev said. He's a former president. So he's taking insult, if you like, from these words rather than strategy.
Isn't it the case, Bronwen, that while one might say controversially, I suppose, that nuclear weapons have actually prevented wars in the last 70 years since the beginning of the Cold War, almost certain wars between the USA and the Soviet Union and attendant nations, but also India, Pakistan, and so on. But this was always predicated on the notion that they would be controlled by rational actors. Are we moving towards a stage where the actors are perhaps a little less rational?
On the current cast of players, yes, a bit. When you're dealing particularly with Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, I still think neither would likely take the calculation to go to war because it becomes so uncontrollable, including for your own country. But we are moving into a world, partly because it is so long since nuclear weapons were last used, and for the first time, that you run into populations, I'm thinking particularly in India and Pakistan, where many people are very young. Well, that seems a very long time ago. And I've run into a lot of young Indians and Pakistanis who say, well, we've got them, shouldn't we at some point use them? And then possibly nuclear weapons are spreading, or could spread, as we saw with Iran, to people who may be rational but calculate things very, very differently from the Cold War deterrence, where I completely agree with you. They did prevent wars.
I know, Matthew, that you perhaps have one or two reservations about Donald Trump, to put it mildly. We're approaching his 200th day in office. He's accomplished quite a lot, and whilst we worry about what he's up to, what he actually does in practice sometimes has a beneficial effect, doesn't it? He is capable of using surprise and that erratic behaviour to kind of good effect diplomatically, isn't he?
Just very occasionally, and if one is unpredictable and makes wild threats and then withdraws, makes big advances and then comes back again, one will achieve something, but one will lose a lot as well. You lose trust, you lose certainty, you lose the faith of your allies. And at home with these tariffs, no, I don't agree with Gerard Baker in the Times this morning, who sort of suggests that Trump's tariff regime has been a success. It has not been a success. We don't yet know what's going to happen to the US economy, and it's not good for the world if we can't trade with each other on as easy as possible terms. These are essential truths which all the posturing and all the braggadocio that comes with Trump should not, I think, distract us from.
The nuclear submarines.
Oh yeah, well, we had to do that. We just have to be careful. And a threat was made and we didn't think it was appropriate, so I have to be very careful. So I do that on the basis of safety for our people. A threat was made by a former president of Russia, and we're going to protect our people. And then after the election, they corrected it by 800 or 900.
Information on the nuclear stuff. And what did Medvedev say to you that made you really mad?
Well, you just have to read what he said. He was talking about nuclear. When you talk about nuclear, we have to be prepared, and we're totally prepared.
Mr. President,